Live, and you are live. What is going on, everybody? RogersBase here. Hello and welcome. Good morning. Today I will be reading One Piece manga chapter 1168 for the very first time. This one is titled The Snows of Elbaf. Hello to everybody who's already in here. We got Lou, we got Tu, we got Misty, we got Clax, we got James, Aaron, Leo Legendary, Zappa Boy. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rob is in here as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thankfully, I managed to remain unspoiled despite the fact that yesterday I was on JD Legend's big Agenda Reverie stream. He does that at the end of every year. We haven't had like a big main reverie in about like a year and a half. So it was just fun to see everybody again and talk One Piece and vibe. And honestly, the group that comes into the Agenda Reverie is always just so chill and nice, and everyone's having a good time. We were playing games. We played like One Piece Jeopardy. We were doing a whole bunch of fun, different conversations regarding One Piece, talking about Elbaf and all kinds of stuff. So if you're at all interested in that, definitely go check out JD Legend's Agenda Reverie. Again, we recorded that yesterday, and then later today I'm going to be on my other friend's podcast, but I don't know if he wants me to talk about it just yet. But on that one, we will also be talking about One Piece too. So we've got a lot of One Piece talk ahead today, and a lot of One Piece talk that we did yesterday. So without any further ado, let's get started with One Piece manga chapter 1168, The Snows of Elbaf. Here we go. Reader request, A Family of Sheep Knitting Hatchan Gloves by Mrs. Fuji. This is actually super cute. I love the way they drew the sheep. Anytime I see a sheep in One Piece, I immediately think of Master Yomo. So I love the way that Oda draws sheep. And you got Hachi looking super happy seeing the little gloves and all the little shovels there as he's shoveling snow. This is funny because the design of this cabin looks very Elbaf-ish. So again, it kind of makes sense with where we are in the story. But yeah, super excited for this. So let's get into this 1168. All right, picking up where we left off with the stuff with Harold. That same year, 15 years ago around the world, they're saying that those giants in the Navy played a crucial role once again. That's great to hear. I used to think they were scary, and now I wish I could meet one someday. Also, thank you very much, Braden. Braden says, can you tell my girlfriend Sam to watch the One Piece anime? She's caught up with the manga and refuses to witness Peak on the big screen. Your girlfriend, if she's caught up with the manga, doesn't need to watch the anime then. She's fine. I'm sorry to give you the wrong... You asked for me to tell your girlfriend to watch the anime? Don't do that. Just wait for The One Piece. They're about to readapt it. Watch The One Piece when it comes out. In the meantime, you don't gotta watch the anime. It's fine. Watch clips on YouTube or something. If you're caught up to the manga, watch clips on YouTube. All right, let us continue reading. It says, I used to think that they were scary, but now I wish I can meet one someday. So again, people are changing. They want to meet these giants. Is there any way to get more shipped here? Folks can't get enough of that Elbaf seafood, I bet. Good Elbaf cider as well. It's quality stuff. Cool to see him again. This is the shipping magnet guy. Umit? Too bad it's so hard to ship. Yo, I have not seen him since like actually, it's not true. I think we saw him actually in the cover story with Judge and with Caesar. I believe he showed up there as well. Also, I think he showed up relatively recently with the stuff with Marijoa and like delivering the supplies. So Umit is getting around actually in the story. Very strange, because he was always one of the characters during Whole Cake when they introduced the underground people that like you weren't expecting to see a lot again. But here he is. Umit. Okay, here we go. Elbaf New World. Let's see. Once our dream of being part of the world government comes true, and everyone's saying Harold, King Harold, they're all cheering him on, I think that we should build a cruise ship so that we can travel freely to each of our fellow nations. To the rest of the world, we are a very curious minority. There are so many different people in so many different countries. They each have cultures worthy of respect. And as we come into contact with them, Elbaf will gain more friends and more wisdom. And you can see the people are actually pretty excited about this. All right, they're like, I can't wait. Let's go meet the rest of the world. This is going to be awesome. We're almost there, my countrymen. Our future is bright. And you can see one of the warriors with his Viking helmet being like, well, I guess the warrior business is dead. That's not true. There's always going to be a need for giant warriors. Don't you worry. The final war is coming up. We're going to need you guys. Here we go. I will see it through, Ida. Okay. The Walrus School. You can see the kids playing around. This is all thanks to you, Saul. A lot more healthy and kids swinging swords. And now at this point, again, the Walrus School's been built. Saul and Harold are looking over everything. Don't it scare you? Thinking about what you're losing, Harold? I no longer think of military might as our national strength. Oh, and Ida did actually die, so they didn't manage to heal her. I thought after the whole thing with Loki, where Loki was yelling, that was the only mother I have, and you see her lying there in the bed, I thought maybe there was a chance she might live, but she is dead. R.I.P. Ida. One of the best moms in One Piece. Ida taught me everything I know. The fact that I met her is my lifelong treasure. I no longer think of military might as our national strength. And again, you see the giant grave for Ida with all the flowers on it. All the people of Elbaf loved her. Harold. Oh, and we're getting a little flashback with her too. You've really changed. When I first came here, I was terrified of all the civil wars. But you've changed this country, bit by bit. Children studying hard, bright and cheerful laughter. It really feels like a different country completely. Old practices, strange customs. We ought to throw all of our bad habits of our warrior past. Really? But I like the warrior's pride. In fact, I think it's cool. You ought to treasure your culture. Well, what about the fact that you and I weren't allowed to marry? I've never, ever gotten over that. She's laughing about it. You told them you wanted to make me your true wife, didn't you? And she's coughing at this point. She's already kind of sick. That's so sweet of you. My big sweetie. But what about Loki? He'll be Harudin's little brother. How about that? And she goes, oh, that's so cute. And she goes, to me, that's what he's always been. See, again, she was great. And she didn't hold it against them. She was like, look, it's still your culture. At the end of the day, it's important to preserve it. She's like, maybe they didn't want us to marry, but at the end of the day, you're changing things. So for the next generation, things will be better. But you can't forget the past, because if you forget the past, history will repeat itself. So Ida was correct. I like the little outfit she's wearing. Even though she's sick, I actually kind of like that. She's rocking it with the little cloak and then the little turtleneck. Shout out to Ida. She was a real one. Just hearing that from you will keep me fed for months. But really, I don't mind. You're everyone's King Harold, not just mine. Oh, man. And she says, we're almost there, aren't we? Oh, man. Oh, and this is going to be, oh, no. So this was right after Loki then. Oh, no. They're going to show us. I thought it was just a cutaway. We're almost there, aren't we? That's right, Ida, very soon. We'll be connected to the rest of the world, and our world will grow to be millions of times larger than before. Then we'll do what we used to do and go traveling all over. And you see the two young ones thinking back to their old days. Oh, man, this is brutal. And she just goes, that sounds fantastic. I can't wait. And as she goes to squeeze his hand, and you can see the little hand over the big giant fingers. And you could see her hand just slip away. Oh, man. Poor Ida. And you could see Harold and Harudin and all the other new giant pirates over there. Harudin crying over her. Loki sitting in a cell. Oh, Loki too. Not even being able to be there because he ransacked the village. For the people that poisoned her nonetheless too. And you see Harold crying and he just tips his little helmet down. And Loki sit in the cell. Man, oh man, oh man. Poor Ida. At least, I mean, in terms of like One Piece character deaths, at least that's like a relatively peaceful one. I feel like there have been way worse. With Ginny, with the jewel disease and all this other stuff. I'm like, at the very least, it's bad, obviously. She still got poisoned. But at the end of the day, there's worse ways to go out in the One Piece world. I do feel bad for Loki, though. Man, oh man. And there you go. And she was smiling, exactly. She was thinking of their promises and the new Elbaf and everything. Again, I love the word. Well, we'll talk about it, I guess, in the review. I'll save it. All right, but you see Loki. All right. 14 years ago, Sacred Marijoa. Okay. Shanks has gone missing? Yes. And once his current mission was complete, he was on track to be made a full-fledged knight. As his backup, this means that you have a golden opportunity. Will you take it? And Harold's like, of course, I want to join the Knights of God. It means that Elbaf will be allowed to join the government. Oh, no. This is going to go sour very, very fast. You can see the giant boot step, and you can see the other Gorosei walking. Oh, this is not good. So at this point now, Shanks is going 14 years ago. Congratulations. The Great One trusts you. What a long haul it's been. And now you will be known as the king who changed Elbaf's history forever. Actually, on the day that Elbaf is entered into the world government, I plan to abdicate the throne. Someone younger and purer deserves to be our new king. And the Gorosei are like, that is for Mu to decide. Oh, so they're straight up showing him because he's getting the contract. Oh, he's going to know now. He's going to know. He's going to know. That is for Mu to decide. And you can see Mu sitting on the empty throne. Why? Why is someone sitting on the empty throne? Come closer. I have been watching thee, Herald. And you see the eyeballs and the scattering. Oh, that's it. Okay. Interesting. That's super interesting. It, like, morphed. Okay. And you can see the tattoo on him now. Yo, I kind of like the scratchiness here. Why is it looking like this? This strength, and you can see Harold looking down with the tattoo. It's rippling through me. It's almost frightening. You can see his arms completely being taken over. Now he is immortal. Whoa! It chills the spine. He is more than a monster. At this point, he is a weapon. Now, at long last, thou art an undying knight in service to Mu. And he's like, undying? This still doesn't feel real. Thou wilt create an abyss on Elbaf. That will be thy bond to us. And when thou hast completed thy final duty, thy wish will be granted, and Elbaf will be welcomed among the world government's member nations. You can see everyone saying, welcome home, King Harold. He's holding up his arm. He's got the tattoo. You can see them riding off on the ship. You hear the clanking. They're saying, let's have a toast. Orist Castle. So now, oh, interesting. This is interesting. So now he's able to create. So he created that then. Interesting. He created that. Orist Castle. What did you just say, oh great Emu? Use thy entire country to form an army of warriors. And Harold's like, wait. I just tried to stop all of this. Thou wilt build a giant fleet to rival the Navy and act for the benefit of the world. That, and he's like, wait, stop. I've been doing all this to help Elbaf escape the cycle of fighting. Now look, I always intended to allow those who wish to enlist in the Navy to do so, but not like this. You can see them like, who the heck is your majesty talking to in there? Thou saidest history would be atoned for. Thou saidest you would be a slave. That's true. He did say that. He offered that up, which was still crazy. And he's like, yeah, but only me. History is not so light that it can be shouldered by thee alone. Do not speak back. Thou canst not disobey Emu. And you could see him looking up. Uh-oh. Those who have accepted the Depths Covenant are given immortality and strength, but must obey orders in return. You can see his legs moving for him. Emu's moving his legs. Think what thou wilt, but I will have my way. And you can see him looking at the tattoo. I can't stop. I'm being controlled. And Elbaf with me. There was never any intent to bring us into the circle of the world. Damn. Damn you, Emu! You can see guards to arms, and they're all screaming. Were you planning to make the warriors of Elbaf your slaves? And you can see them screaming, what is it, your majesty? Is someone in there? Bring chains. Bring chains and tie me to this pillar. Act quickly. Oh, and this is going to be the day then. So next chapter. Wow, okay. Okay. I'm going to keep reading the chapter. I have thoughts. already, but I'm going to keep reading. We're skipping right to this. Bring chains and tie me to the pillar. Act quickly. Call Chief Jarl and my sons. And they're like, I'm pretty sure Harudin's at sea right now. And Loki is still in a cell for the thing he did. I cannot resist. What's the matter, Your Majesty? And he's saying, just release him, go. And he's trying to crawl over the pillar so they could chain him up. Underworld holding cells. You're freed now, Loki. Report to RS Castle immediately. The king calls for you. And you can see Jarl as well, urgently. Just a moment. Why would he call me? What could it be? Now, let us return to the story. For on this day, there was a terrible massacre inside the castle. And the most beloved ruler in the history of Elbaf, wise King Harold, perished. To be continued, One Piece manga chapter 1168 end. All right, I am jumping right into my review because I actually do have something to say right away. I am shocked by something. I asked about this on the Agenda Reverie yesterday because, again, everyone was very good. Everyone kept me unspoiled. Everyone was saying, don't worry, we're not going to tell you things about the chapter. But I did want to know, was there going to be anything in this chapter, based on the timing and things that we know, was there going to be anything in this chapter about Loki and Lola? Because right now, I feel like Oda has been very, very good about picking up loose plot threads. He's been very good about that during this flashback and during this arc and during God Valley. And the one big loose plot thread still left with Elbaf is the stuff with Loki and Lola. That's the one big thing. I truly thought that was going to be in this flashback. I guess maybe you're right that Lola was only 12 at this point. So maybe they'll end up showing it later. But I'm going to be totally real. I don't even think we're going to get that right now. Because the theming of this flashback and the story and everything, I kind of feel the way they're setting it up. With the on this day, a terrible massacre inside the castle, most beloved ruler in the history of Elbaf. He perished. Let us return to the story. This to me feels like wrap up. This to me kind of feels like we are getting out of here. Because you got to remember, this whole flashback, Loki is telling the story to Luffy and all the other characters. So maybe, because it happens after this day actually happens, it probably makes sense that we won't get it here. But I am wondering if we're actually going to get to that. In Oda, I trust. I'm sure he'll get to it eventually, even if it doesn't happen here. But it does kind of feel, because again, you got to remember where this flashback started. This flashback started with this scene of them walking in to the throne room, and you end up getting Harold, and you end up getting the other stuff. You see that in the very beginning of this. So I kind of feel like this is the full circle moment. I feel like we're coming out of this, especially because if there's a break next week, if we get a break next week and then one more chapter this year, my assumption is we're still going to be in the flashback, or we're just going to come out of it at the very, very end of last year. You guys are right that the Lola stuff isn't relevant, but I don't know. I did want to see that. And this is not a complaint at all. I want you to understand this is not a complaint. This is just immediate, first spur of the moment reaction. I don't know why I thought they were going to jump around, but I thought they were going to jump around before getting to this. But this does feel like we're here now. With that being said, Harold, his story is very tragic, but also, we talked about this on the Agenda Reverie, I still kind of feel like, and this is, again, interesting for the story. This is not saying this is, like, badly written. I'm into this. I like all this stuff with Harold. But in terms of Harold being a character I can relate to and being a character that I like, I don't see a world in which I could ever see that happen. Because to me, Harold was just incredibly naive. I believe it was Hime who was on that stream that made a really good point about Harold, talking about the fact that, he was basically civilized way, way, way later in life, right? So that he is still extremely naive to the ways of the world, and he's believing what people are saying, and he bought into the government would actually help him. But when you think about his entire journey, you think about the way that Rox warned him multiple times, you cannot trust these people. You cannot trust the government. They will go behind your back. And Harold, time and time again, has said, that is my best friend. He trusted him. That was his friend. They were comrades. And not only did he let him die, not only did he stand with the world government, not only was he short-sighted enough to go to them 2 chapters ago, rip off his horns, and say, I'm going to be your slave, that then I can't even feel bad for him later in this chapter at page 12, when you get to this sequence with Emu, and Emu's like, you said you'd be my slave, so you got to listen to me. It is what it is. It's like, bro, you did say that. It's not even like Emu is tricking you. Emu straight up said, you said you would be my slave. You said you would do this. Now, obviously, you can make the argument that the Gorosei and Emu and everybody, they were all promising him that they were going to turn Elbaf into like a nation of the world. They might still do that, though. By joining Elbaf into the world government, if Harold would have gone along with it, maybe they would have. They would have all been warriors, and it would have gone back and reverted everything that Harold would have done. But technically, he would have gotten his wish, and they would have been with the world government. They would have been. So, to me, I still cannot relate to Harold. I still cannot relate to Harold. And as a character, I do not like him. And I think he made a lot of bad choices. But as a story, I've actually thoroughly enjoyed this. I think this whole Harold flashback and seeing the different parallels between him and Rox and the way that both of these characters truly are morally gray and that they go about things the wrong way, but both kind of want to see things righted. And obviously both, now that you can see what's going on here with Emu, right? They both want him taken down, but realize that there's kind of nothing they can do. Harold offers him up as a slave. Rox realizes there's nothing he could do. The tides were turning against him. It is what it is. But everything around Harold, his family, Loki, Haruden, Ida, all these other characters, I actually really, really like. Like, I feel bad for everyone that was kind of caught in Harold's line of fire, basically. And at the end of the day, he did still help things in terms of, giant relations throughout the rest of the world where people aren't as scared of them anymore. And that is going to be important moving later into the story where, Luffy wants everybody freed and everybody's going to, all the races are going to come together and everyone's going to be friends. It is an important change. Him doing that work was important. And I think he kind of realizes that in his final moments, which is why he's like, tie me to this chain and kill me. Like, chain me up against this pillar and kill me. It's funny, though. I mean, we've been in this flashback for a very long time at this point now. And I am still thoroughly enjoying it. I think it is very well written. I like where it's going. I like the way they're fleshing out the characters. So you would think that, like, by the end of this chapter, where now it really does look like the end is in sight, and we're finally at the day where we started this flashback, 5-6 months ago? You would think that I would be more like, oh, now we're getting back to Elbaf, whatever. But actually, like present day Elbaf. But now, I'm kind of like, oh man, it's over? It's getting close to being over? Like, I've really loved all of this. I feel like everything that he's been fleshing out within this flashback has been good. There's been a lot of great lore about the overall world. There's been some cool introductions of characters. I mean, think about where we started and what we knew at the beginning of this flashback and what we know now. All the truth about God Valley, all the other different characters that we got introduced to, all the stuff with Shaku Yaku and with Rayleigh, even the Florian Triangle tease stuff, seeing other characters again, seeing Umit come back on page 2, seeing the shipping magnate Umit come back, even for as briefly as he was there. Seeing the founding of the Walrus School, like, it has been great. And I do wonder, after all of this, like, because again, this is going to be interesting for the anime. Because now the anime basically said that they've been moving on a 1-to-1 chapter basis, right? That they're going to go, that moving forward, starting in like March when Elbaf starts, the episodes are for sure going to stay at 1 chapter per 1 episode. If that is the case, and the anime is always afraid of not having Luffy be in the story, this is going to be a long 6 months for people who are missing Luffy. Like, if that's truly what they're afraid of, and that's truly why they haven't been animating cover stories, and why they haven't done a lot of this other stuff, and why Luffy's got to be involved in all this, and why we've had filler arcs and stuff, what are they going to do here? Because Yeah, essentially, it's an entire core. It's an entire 6 months of the anime without Luffy. That's what we're looking at right now. If we're going at a one-to-one chapter thing, this is 16 episodes worth of stuff. Because I believe there's been 16 chapters in 6 months. And again, I'm not complaining. This is all good stuff to me. I'm interested in all of this. But I do wonder what the game plan is going to be. Or maybe if they're going to do a movie to tide them over. Mr. Man says, tell him to get over it. You know what, Mr. Man? You're right. Get over it. You're right, Mr. Man. You're right. You're right. You're right. No, I mean, honestly, this was a very, very solid chapter. I feel like a lot of this was mostly filling in the gaps, though. Like, there's not a lot here that was shocking to me compared to the previous chapter. I think the one thing that's important to note is Shanks going missing 14 years ago, right? Them bringing that up, saying Shanks has gone missing, and that's the reason, like, he was going to be the next in line. He was going to get the tattoo. He was going to get the contract. He was going to get immortality, and then Harold ended up, taking his spot. So in a weird way, is Shanks responsible for Harold's death? Because if Shanks didn't run away, would this have happened? But then, if Shanks didn't run away, he couldn't have become a Yonko. He couldn't have run off and met Luffy and given him the Nika fruit, and the world would be trapped for another 1,000-something years, and that would be that. I loved that Ida scene. Was very gut-wrenching, though. Her goodbye was gut-wrenching. But I like the fact, because you see this happen a lot with, like, parents in One Piece. They go out in, like, horrible ways. At least this way, she's, like, dying with a smile, and it was good, and you got to see the other family members there. I just felt bad for Loki, man. Poor Loki sitting in the cell when all this happened, especially considering the fact he's in there because he burned the village and declared that that was his true mother. Man. Yeah, but again, not a lot of shocking stuff in this one, and truly not a lot even like to really discuss within this review. There's not a whole lot to break down. It's just mostly like a solid fill in the gap kind of chapter before we get to the big one, which is going to be the next one. Again, I guess seeing the tattoo, seeing the contract happen was interesting, but even then, again, we don't really see it. We just see him walk up to the throne. He sees Emu. He's kind of shocked. It cuts away to outside of the castle, outside of Pangaea Castle, and then he's got the tattoo already. And we don't even really get to see him utilize it at all. He's not like, you don't get to see him be immortal. You don't get to see him be super strong. I guess maybe we'll get to see that next chapter when he's going on a rampage and killing the guards and Loki and Jarl are taking him down. But otherwise, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel bad for him, but again, he was naive and he went about things the wrong way. So I can't feel that bad. I feel worse for the people of Elbaf, It is cool, yeah, that you get to see the tattoo kind of evolve a little bit where it grows the horns once the contract really sits in place. That's true. And you can see the Gorosei are even kind of frightened by this as well, but yeah, but overall, I mean, just solid. I loved the panel on page 13 as well, where Emu was speaking to him telepathically or whatever. And he said, thou said history would be atoned for. Thou said he would be a slave. I do wonder, though, how are they going to kill him if he is immortal? My assumption is it's going to have something to do with hockey. My assumption is that it's going to have something to do with hockey, or maybe something to do with the devil fruit, and Loki's going to be able to stop him. Yeah. It is kind of funny to think about the entire time during this whole flashback, Dory and Broggy were just chilling and fighting in Little Garden. Also, James said, Roger, James, what's going on? James said, Roger, do you think you would have been a better king for Elbaf? Absolutely. 110% I would have been a better king. Yes. Yes. But I'm also not a giant. But I absolutely would have been a better king for Elbaf. Absolutely. James. I am actually excited to see what James did for the thumbnail this week. Also, you can see Tech Zero saying, free Loki now. No, that was a good sequence of him like leaning up against the pillar and calling for him. Yelling, just release him. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that we are probably going to get the fight with Harold and his death next chapter. And then I think that's going to be it. I think we're going to jump back to present day. Because to me, I think next chapter ending with the Herald death and then the cutaway to present time and then you seeing all the Straw Hats with the other giants hearing the story and being determined to take him down is going to be good. I think that's going to be good. Hearing Emu and hearing all these names and knowing this truth about the world. Clack said, I think you would have been a better king even without being a giant, to be honest, because you got charisma and smarts. That's very kind of you, Clax. Very kind of you. Yo, thank you, by the way. Wow, we got a $50 donation. Thank you very much. From Brandon Olea saying, Roger, I love your streams, and I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Harold being the one who, when he was a god knight, killed members of the Rocks Pirates, and then later Moria getting their corpses by visiting the graveyard ships? What are your thoughts on Harold being the one who, when he was a god knight, killed members of Rocks Pirates, and Moria get corpses by visiting their ships? Well, Harold wasn't a god knight during God Valley. He wasn't a god knight during God Valley. God Valley's already long finished. God Valley's done. So I don't think he killed any members of the Rocks Pirates that Moria then got their corpses from the graveyard ships. He dies immediately after becoming a god knight. Right. Wait, what are you saying, though? What is this? Yeah. Oh, no, you guys are in agreement with me. Yeah, he was only a god knight for a very small amount of time. Oh, Viba. I see what Viba was saying. Viba said, I think Brandon meant when he was a devoted blade back in the day of the Florian Triangle. Oh, well, I mean, we literally saw that. When he was contracted to wipe out pirates. Oh, we saw that last chapter. You literally see him coming out of the mist with the sword. So, yeah, I mean, that for sure is absolutely a thing that happened. But I don't think it was members of Rocks Pirates. A lot of the... Yeah, exactly. Brandon said yes. Yeah, okay, that's what you meant. Well, yeah, I mean, we literally saw that last chapter. With him leaping through the mist and the stuff with, like, the pirates being killed. Yes, for sure. Yes. I don't think they were members of the Rocks Pirates, though. I mean, a lot of the Rocks Pirates died during God Valley. Unless... I'm starting to understand your donation now. I'm piecing it together. Unless you're saying that, like, Kyo and Silver Axe and John actually all made it out of God Valley, and that all their ships on the seas around the Florian Triangle as they were trying to escape sunk, and he was the one that killed them, which then created the myth about... I'm totally getting what you're saying now. For a second, I was very confused. I'm like, wait, what do you mean when he was a god knight? And I see what you mean. Yes. That when they were trying to escape the remnants of God Valley, that they were killed within the Florian Triangle by Harold as a god knight. I'm seeing. Yeah. You were saying that they didn't fully die in God Valley, that maybe they died after that. I mean, we did say, they straight up said, if I'm remembering correctly, let me go back to the last chapter, just so I'm not misremembering things or speaking out of turn. In 1167, right, the chapter opens up. Oh, no, it's not 1167. It's 1166, I believe, is the one that opens up with that. Oh, no. No, it is 1167. 33 years ago. At this time, the countries of the Grand Line were abuzz with the frightening rumor of a lurking monster that struck its targets, lurking mostly against pirate ships from deeper mists out in the sea. But in truth, the monster was Harold. To the people on the sea who'd never even seen a giant before, the experience was pure terror. As part of his sworn oath of 1,000 years, Harold assisted the Navy's efforts to uphold order. And this is where he's slicing all the pirate ships. Yeah, I was confused because you were saying it like a theory earlier. Your theory was basically that he was the one that killed the god. Your assumption is that the remaining Rocks Pirates from God Valley did not actually die in God Valley, that they survived and died later on, and that Harold was the one to kill them when he was a member of the God Knights, when he was in the mist, creating the rumor about the giant figures within the Florian Triangle that are taking out pirate ships. Now I get what you're saying. Now I understand. We got there. The description was worded a little strange, but we got there. The guy did say, though, in the chapter, as you just brought up, D. Kangen, they did bring up in the chapter This event takes place in the Florian Triangle, and then he says, not even close. Do you think there's fish catching out there? All I can say, it was a monster in human form. So this wasn't even at the Florian Triangle still. But I do agree with you that I think they could be connected. Yes. I do absolutely agree with you that they are probably connected in some way. Because for him to bring up the Florian Triangle there, very strange for him to bring it up right then and then immediately show the thing in the mist. They are probably connected in some fashion. Yes, I agree. Okay, now we got through your donation. Now I understand. Thank you very much. Sorry it took so long to get there, but I wanted to break down exactly what it was that you meant. I guess it's difficult to write out exactly what you mean in a short super chat message, but we got there. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Thank you. Also, Aquatic Owl in the chat just said, Roger, you're crazy if you think Luffy heard any of this flashback. You don't think Luffy was somewhat listening? At all? I mean, I think the second he heard Shanks and Shamrock, he probably picked up a little bit. You don't think Luffy's ears immediately picked up once Loki brought up Shanks? Like, at the very least, he's hearing everything going around with the Celestial Dragons. Luffy never listens unless Shanks is involved. When Shanks is involved, he absolutely listens. He goes, Shanks? My Oshi? Tell me more. Roger, I don't honestly think anyone was. Loki doesn't know the story. It's only for us, the reader. He's definitely not. Imagine if Loki talked this much. Luffy does know about the Odin flashback, but again, no, Loki isn't even telling the story. Loki doesn't know this. I don't even think Loki is telling the other part. The only thing Luffy heard was conquer a hockey mess. It just seems like the flashback was just the narrator who started and ended for the reader's benefit. Let me go back 16 chapters. I'm going to go back 16 chapters. We're going to go back to 1152. Let me see something. Oh, no, it was 1151. Because I'm like, I might be misremembering and you guys might be right. Old guy, good to see you awake. Listen up, everyone. Fits the detail. Okay. 1152. Horrible day. Uh-huh. Man, this was a short... Oh, no. 1152. Hold on. Not you too, Mr. Yao. Why'd you say this? Loki killed 113 soldiers in the castle 14 years ago. Gave Chief Jarl the wound, so he's about to tell him all this. Right. I know, but the day it happened, we felt an extreme abnormal hockey from the castle, which we now know, of course, was the Abyss. Shanks and I headed for Aris together, and we didn't see the whole thing, which is, again, this is where Shanks is going to show up to stop Loki. We know all that. But we were there. You what? Did you just say Shanks? Luffy's listening. Starry Sanson, you have to go up first. Zoro Sanji will catch up with you. Shanks obsessed fool. Gaban. Who better to tell the story than Harudin? You're still brothers, even if your mothers are different. You have 3 minutes to explain everything. What happened in the castle 14 years ago? If you're a true warrior of Elbaf, then swear by the name of God and speak truth. This is a cruel demand. You want me to relive it. I'd rather not remember the details. Then we go into the stuff with Aris Castle, where he's about to tell him all of this. And Shanks is involved, because again, he is there in Elbaf. He was about to stop him. Gaban is involved as well. And it says here, on this day, there was the massacre in the castle. Wise King Harold perished, and the most beloved king in Elbaf's history. But what was it that caused the people to praise him so? For that, we must go back in time. Now, this flashback with the black bars, with Shanks and Scopper and Harold and Ripley and all these other characters that Loki's talking about, is all stuff that Luffy is hearing. The stuff that Luffy is not hearing, the stuff that none of these characters are hearing, is what happened beforehand. So basically, the stuff with Harold. All the stuff with Harold and Rocks, none of that stuff, which is, like you guys said, the narrator telling for our benefit, we're going to flesh this out. All that stuff is stuff that we're hearing that Luffy is not going to be hearing. But Shanks, having defected from the God Knights and being present the day that all this goes down, is absolutely something that Luffy's going to know. He has to, I mean, he's there. This is critical information. Luffy is definitely going to know this. Like 110%. Anything that happened that day, he's going to know about. And the context of Shanks being a God Knight is probably going to be important. Now, again, he can pick and choose what he wants him to know about. Whether, like, Loki's talking about Ida, but I don't know if Loki's going to bring that up. And again, it makes a lot more sense to tell the story of what happened the day that Harold died in 3 minutes than it is to tell this entire flashback of God Valley, which obviously has been hype. But again, Luffy and Zoro and Sanji don't need to know any of it. It'd be good for him to know, but he doesn't need to know any of it. Also, you're correct. The Shanks info was what made Luffy stay in the first place instead of going up with Zoro and Sanji. Right, exactly. Exactly. I miss Luffy, I'm not going to lie. Well, you're going to get him back soon enough, for sure. Yeah. Loki is stated to have Haki and Conquerors, so when Loki realized what Scupper meant, he likely was reminded of how he killed his dad. Right. My thought was that it's probably going to be Shanks who kills Harold in front of Loki during the flashback, but I guess we're going to find out in 2 weeks. I could see that being a thing as well. But then why? Well, unless he tells Loki to go along with it, but it seems like Loki actually was upset. Well, maybe. Again, you see very clearly, if you go back to chapter 1152, you see the guards literally impaling Harold. You see that impaling him in shadow, inside of the room. And this, it is actually interesting going back to 1152 after reading today's chapter. This, the day of it actually happening, where Gabon and Shanks are in the hot tub in the Sun World, and you see Shanks with that tattoo. And he says, it's been a good while since we shared a bath together. It's been 3 or 4 years. Captain died 10 years ago. Has it been that long? It feels like an eternity. My life has changed entirely. My plan was to join up with Buggy and lead a laid-back pirating life, but even here in Elbaf, there's much to learn. You're a child of fate, Shanks. Don't bother thinking over the tricky details. Do you remember Little Garden? The island we met Dorian Broggy, of course. And then you got Ripley asking how the water feels. Talking about them at eye level. Do you know much about King Harold? They worship him like a god in Elbaf. I met him in Mari Joa. We got along all right. Which now makes a lot more sense, the connection with the God Knights and knowing him there. There was something we couldn't talk about in the Holy Land, though, which is, again, you see their eyes meeting a couple chapters ago. If he's back home, I would like to meet him and discuss him before it's too late, which, again, it is going to be too late because they had to take him out. And then on the day of the massacre in the castle. That is actually, I am glad that we went back and looked at 1152. Now that I'm remembering, like, the framing of the day. Because I do wonder how involved Gabon and Shanks are going to be in all of this. I was mostly thinking of the Loki side. But again, this goes to show why I think we are getting out of this flashback now. Because again, the full circle moment and the way the narrator is like bringing it up and saying we're finally out of the story and now here we are back to where we were. Like there'd be no reason, going back to what I said at the beginning, there's no reason that like Loki would bring up the Lola stuff, you know? I don't know when that would come up. The only time I would maybe see that coming up is like maybe when you get the reveal of Mosa, if Mosa is actually Shirahoshi, and you bring up the idea of like, I don't know, maybe he has a crush on Shirahoshi or whatever, or the two of them get along just fine and they were betrothed to each other. And then he somehow like thinks about Lola. But I don't know. I mean, if you're choosing between Shirahoshi and Lola, obviously Shirahoshi's the right choice. Loki made the right choice. This is very interesting, though. And then also, when did he get the scar from Blackbeard? Well, if you're looking back, this was 1152. He said 3 or 4 years ago. When in, let's go back to 1167. How many years ago was this? Where you see Shanks with the bandages over his face in Marijoa. This is 15 years ago after the ransacking. So this is right after Fisher Tiger and Boa and the Sandersonia sisters escape. So 15 years ago, the ransacking of Marijoa happens. Harold and Garling and the rest of them are talking about what a night it was. And you see Shanks with the bandage over his eyes. So at some point in between 33 years ago, and 15 years ago, he probably got the scar. Or maybe it was probably closer between like 20 and 15. If he finally came back. But I think it was probably more like, I mean, it was fresh if he still has the bandages. My assumption is it was probably like 15 years ago. He spent the full year as a devoted blade, right? So maybe during that time, maybe 15 years ago, right before the ransacking. Because otherwise he wouldn't still have the bandages on his face if it was just a scar. So it must have been relatively recently when Blackbeard gave it to him. Right? What I'm saying is, what if Blackbeard gave him the scar during the ransacking? Why would Blackbeard be there, though, is the question. Why would Blackbeard have been there? Because, again, you see him... Okay, no. So, this actually is going to shorten. It is between 20 and 15 years. Because you see young Shanks there without the scar. You see him there without the scar in the 33 portion. So, yeah, it's between 20 and 15. And, again, it's probably relatively fresh before. And he already had the scar during the ransacking. Yeah, because you see the eye kind of shadowed out a little bit on page 10 and 11. It's somewhere between the conversation that Harold and Neptune had and between Fisher Tiger's ransacking. Because he already had the bandage when he met him. Yeah. Because at that point, how old does that make Blackbeard? Because again, Shanks was a baby during God Valley, and Blackbeard was obviously really little too. So what were they doing on the seas? In this little bit of time with Blackbeard and Shanks, what were they doing? I am very curious. I am very, 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 very curious. I mean, we'll eventually get the answer in due time. You know? Is it Shamrock or Shanks in the bathtub, though? Well, I think at that point it's Shanks, right? Because he's got the scar on his face. Guaranteed. Of course. I think even by this point in the story, 12 and 13, I think that is also Shanks. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll probably get it during Blackbeard's flashback. You know what? You're probably right. Yeah, you are probably right about that. You're probably right about that. All right, well, with that being said, I think I've exhausted what I wanted to talk about in this chapter. Let us see James's thumbnail. Let's open this up and see what he did. 1168. Ooh. Ooh, I love this. Very dynamic. I also like the scratchiness kind of theming with like how Oda drew the chapter. That is cool. Seeing Ido when Harold was happy and then Loki the day that he ends up getting taken over. That is really nice. Great colorization on this one too with the red and the blue. Wow, I love that. And you can see the teeth coming out. That was a nice touch with the Domi Reversi teeth. Woo, James, that is nice. Very, 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 very nice. I love that, James. Well done, man. Wow. And you managed to fit Ida in there. You were like, I only have one more opportunity to draw her. I'll draw her now. You made sure to put Ida in the one last week where she was holding Loki's face in the one here. Beautiful. I love this one. This is like excellent. This reminds me a lot of the one that you did for the Garp chapter when Garp was frozen back in the day, where you see like Kobe and Helmappo around him and Kuzan. This is beautiful. Wow. Absolutely beautiful work, James. Kind of reminds me of the Upside Down from Stranger Things a little bit too. Also, I was making a sale. I went away for 1 second. Yo, well, first off, congrats on making a sale. But two, this is beautiful. James, you did a fantastic job. James, you want to tell the people where you are this week? You want to tell the people what event that you're actually at? Where they can buy stuff from you if they're local to the area? What are you doing? Also, he said, thank you very much. Hey, right on, right on, right on, right on. Tell the people where you are. Plug, James. Plug away, plug away, plug away. Also, wait until you guys see the thing that James is making for me right now for my placeholder thumbnails. It is so cute. He was showing me the work in progress. I'm loving it. Great work, James. Really, really well done. Also, Aaron brought up that this reminded you of Stranger Things a little bit. I actually just watched, since last week, I watched the new 4 episodes of the season. I caught up with the season. I feel like the 4th episode of this new season is kind of the only one that I feel like was super good. I feel like the other ones were fine, but it was mostly a bunch of explanation to get to the point that we were at in 4. There was a good moment, I believe it was in 3. If I'm remembering correctly, there's a good moment in 3 with, I probably shouldn't even say who it's with because it's a spoiler. But I feel like there's one good moment in 3, and then episode 4 was excellent. But now it's clear that like we're getting into the end game. Yeah. But I thought it was pretty good. That's how I felt about most of season 4. Also, I feel like every week someone's praising me. From James Fish in the chat. Because we're talking about James, my thumbnail artist. Also, Kentaro PJJ, James just said, I'm at GalaxyCon Columbus this week. It's the last day, though, and it's been very slow. Well, if you're watching this video, and you're in Columbus, Ohio, and you're looking for something to do today, go to GalaxyCon, go to James's booth, and if you specifically say you were watching today's live stream, maybe he'll do something special for you. Who knows? Maybe he'll sign the art for you. He'll probably do that anyway. But either way, thank you very much, James. You did a beautiful, beautiful job on the chapter art this week. This art is really gorgeous. Well done. Very, very well done. All right, let me open this up and see what people are saying about this chapter. Here we go. Let me open this back up, chatting. Yeah, well done, James. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. As Aaron always says, James never, ever, 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 ever misses. I see Aaron say that every week in the chat. And I'm inclined to agree. James never, ever, ever, ever misses. Except for one. Also, real quick before donations, could you check the member messages to see what I posted in the manga section of the Discord real quick? Yeah, sure. What'd you put in there? Let's see. In the manga section of the Discord server. Okay. Okay, let's pull this up. Let's see. This actually reminds me, I have to go and upload my short with all the Oricon sales. Now, what does it say? What you posted in the manga thing. Looks like we got Captain Jack Sparrow drawn as a One Piece character. Wait, what? We got Jack Sparrow drawn as a One Piece character, and confirmation the One Piece manga is on break next week, but Jump isn't. Okay. Oh, what is this? Johnny Depp made a surprise appearance at Tokyo Comic-Con. The Japanese voice actor for Jack Sparrow and Sanji came on stage and welcomed Johnny Depp. I have a friend who draws a manga about pirates, and then presented him with a no-end curtain of Captain Jack Sparrow drawn by Oda. Oda drew Jack Sparrow? That's really cool, actually. Wow. Also, James just said, Roger, have a UK convention, fly you, me, and Reagan out. That would be awesome. I would love that. If you guys in the UK that watch me know of a convention that's in the UK that you want me to guest at, tell the convention, and we will absolutely come. Tell the convention. Get them to fly me out. I will absolutely come. James will come. Reagan will come. It'll be a whole big thing. It'll be great. All 3 of us will come. We'll have a big day at the convention. It'll be great. Do that, and I will fly home to the UK for it. See, there you go. There you go. Wow, this is actually genuinely cool. This happened at Tokyo Comic-Con? That's very neat. Yeah, you could see. Wow, yeah, look at that. What a cool thing to have. He just drew that just for this curtain? Roger, have you ever been to the UK? I have been. I have been before. I would love to go back. Yeah. I will spam MCN and MegaCon so you guys can fly over. Please do. Send them that you are interested in having us as a guest, and we would absolutely love to come. Absolutely. One thing I got to do in the beginning of next year, I got to update my media kit. Because there's been a lot that's changed in the last year. A lot of growth on the YouTube channel, a lot of things that I got to add in. So I got to update my media kit and start sending it to conventions to take us over. But that would be great, man. I would love that. And also, yeah, he did make Jack Sparrow look like Yasop a little bit, didn't he? That's really cool, man. Thanks for letting me know about this. I didn't see this. Thank you, Aaron. That is very cool. All right, here we go. Boom. Let me open this back up. Let's see some of these super chats. Let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, here we go. Let's read some member messages, some super chats, see what's going on. Viewer activity. Okay. Scroll on up. All right. Why am I not seeing anything? Hold on. It's a little weird. Oh, here we go. I was like, why aren't they populating? All right, we got Spamo Man super chatting saying, finally was able to watch live. I work most Sundays, but I catch the VOD weekly. And I have a question about 1165. Could Roger's attack versus Rocks, the god of fire Ace, mean that Ace was named after the One Piece fire deity? Sure. I think it was a nice little, I mean, to be fair, I think it was just a nice little throwback to Ace, right? I think it was a nice little thing in there to be like, oh, maybe this inspired why he named his kid that way. But sure, yeah, that's a cool idea. Roberto came through with the super chat and said, good morning, Roger. Was waiting to tell you that after you're done reading the chapter, I wanted to update you about my brother, Sebastian. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Roberto. I'm not going to read that out loud because that could potentially trigger some people. But I am very, very sorry to hear that. Hopefully today's stream was able to brighten your day a little bit. Very sorry to hear about your loss, Roberto. That is very, very sorry to hear that. David Ortiz 3094 said, my theory is that the legendary devil fruit was always a secret weapon against the world government. Rox and Harold know this, and before Harold gets possessed by Emu, he orders Loki to eat the devil fruit. That devil fruit can potentially be the thing that kills immortals. Said that the legendary devil fruit was always a secret weapon against the world government, and that Harold knew this. I don't hate the idea that Harold knew it. That he had it as like a fail-safe in case the world government wasn't going to give him what he wanted. And then he's going to tell Loki, hey, eat this. Wow. Maybe. I don't hate that idea, to be honest. I don't hate the idea that, like, he knew. Because he eats the devil fruit the day of, right? We're going to get the death of Harold, and then we are going to get Shanks and Gabon and all this other stuff, but we're going to get him eating the fruit during this portion of the flashback, correct? It's going to happen the same day. So I actually do kind of like the idea that, like, he summons Loki, and Harold goes, Loki, go get this, before he's, like, fully taken over by Emu, and then he eats it. I kind of like that idea. Yeah. I like the idea that it was, like, potentially a fail-safe. That's cool. And that's going to be the thing that allows him to stop the immortality. Don't hate it. Don't hate that idea at all. Good idea, David. Also, David brought it up again and said, Elbaf was also left alone because the world government fears that specific devil fruit. The elders keep ancient giant blood on the throne because they feel like that is the only way they can use the full power of it. Interesting. Interesting idea. I do not hate that. Clax came through with the Nakama question. Club Mammoth tier, by the way. Thank you very much, Clax. Appreciate that. Saying, Harold is naive, but a smooth talker nonetheless. I hope Loki is contracted by making him surprisingly wise, but not as silver-tongued. Also, it seems that Shonen Jump break week is actually the 28th as well, with a potential week before. So, okay, so One Piece is going to be on break next week. Then we've got another chapter on the 21st, and then a full jump break on the 28th. Meaning the first chapter back will be on the 4th? On the 4th of January? So again, we only have one more chapter left. We have one chapter on the 21st, and that's it. Break, then 1169, then break. Wow. Hey, I believe this is the first time in recent memory in which we're actually going to be here for the last chapter of the year. Normally I'm in Chicago or I'm in Vegas or like I'm already gone for the holidays by the time of the last chapter. But we're not going to get one Christmas week. Interesting. Obviously even then, even if the scans are out, scans will probably come out like the Monday before on like the 29th. So that's still not then. So yeah, one on the 21st and then no chapter until the 4th of January. Okay. Man. Also, Rob said Oda with the hand drop for Ida's death reminded me of Clannad and I hated it. I've never actually watched that series all the way through. I've only seen one scene from Clannad. And it might not even be from Clannad. I don't even know if it's the right series. There's a scene that was memed during the days of Smash Brothers 4 in which this goes a long way back. I can even maybe pull up the thing. Hold on. I'm going to show you guys this clip. This is a very crazy clip to show, but hold on. This is the only thing I know about Clannad. Where is this? Clannad, that's the one with the scene on the train, right? Where he's talking to their kids. Yep, this is it. Clannad after story. This is definitely it. Hold on. Clannad Smash Bros. Does this video not exist anymore? Did it get taken down due to copyright? No! This was like when they were telling the kids about ice climbers, because the ice climbers were cut from Smash 4. Oh, man. Where is this? Interesting. I'm surprised I can't find this. This was like an iconic video back in the days of Smash 4. Because then people were memeing that they were going to add the characters from it to the next Smash Brothers. Oh well, it's fine. It is what it is. Smash 4 hasn't been relevant in years, so it's okay. But I was looking for it. Where did we leave off? Mr. Memo. Mr. Memo brought up in the chat, do you think we're going to see Tritoma again in this flashback? Probably not. Easy answer, probably not. I don't know when she would come up again. Yeah, probably not. Also, keep in mind that Roger's sword is named Ace too, which is another reason why he said Fire of God, Ace. That's right, his sword is named Ace, isn't it? I forgot about that. Roberto also said, Roger, thank you very much. Your video did absolutely make me feel better. I'll give my brother all the support that he can have. And yes, Clannad After Story is an anime that will break your heart. See, I'm not looking for like a sad anime right now. I want happy things. I don't want any sad stuff right now. Maybe one day. But right now, I'm not feeling sad stuff. But maybe one day I'll check it out. We already read Brandon Olea's, obviously, where we're talking about it during the review portion. So thank you once again, Brandon, for all that. Again, very generous donation. Mega Buster Dude came through with the super chat and said, it's impressive that Ochuko and Wang Ji kept Beehive for this long. I could have imagined Shiki, Kaido, Big Mom wanting it afterwards, especially Kaido. They did, well, that was last chapter. That wasn't this chapter, wasn't it? That was last chapter, wasn't it? Also, it's weird you saying that with One Piece being 50% misery. Yeah, but it's like, it's different. It's different. I already know what to expect with One Piece. We already know that Harold is going to die. It's different. And to be honest, I feel like it's just different. It's different. It's different when the whole series is sad versus when there's a sad moment in it, you know? Also, a lot of people saying, are you going to watch the episode today? It was very good. Are you going to watch the episode today? We will. We'll watch it on Twitch right after the stream is over. We'll watch it on Twitch right afterwards. Yeah. We will absolutely watch the episode. I know people wanted me to watch the episode. We'll watch the episode. So that's what we're going to do. We'll end the stream here, and then we'll go over to Twitch and we'll watch it. Yeah. Because, again, this is a relatively short review. There's not really, like, that much to talk about this week, comparatively. Where do we leave off? Later Storm saying, I really want to see Shanks and Loki in the next chapter. I think you're probably going to get that. And I think that's everything. So what we're going to do is I'm going to wrap the stream up here. So thank you once again, everybody, for coming through to the stream. You know, reading this chapter with me. I thought this is a very good, you know, beginning of the end type chapter. Filling in the gaps, showing us what we needed to see. The downfall of Harold is imminent. We got to wait 2 weeks for it. That's what we're going to do. But right now, we are going to continue the fun over on Twitch. And we are going to get right into reacting to these anime episodes. That's what we're going to do. So if you guys want to continue the fun, go on over to Twitch. We're going to react to the episodes. But for everybody who's just here and chilling and reading the chapter and hanging out and discussing the chapter, thanks for being here. Greatly appreciate it. So like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Nakama. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. And in like seconds, again, we will be live over on Twitch, twitch.tv/RogersBase. Also, one last shout out. If you're not already, join the Discord server. I say this every week. Join the Discord server because I will be live this Sunday with the Game Awards. And I'm doing a really special Bleach read-through on Monday as well. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing a Bleach read-through. We potentially are going to be doing another one during the break week next week. So if you've been hankering for more of that Bleach content, that's going to be happening tomorrow. Look forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. But thank you, everybody. Cool, short, fun little reaction review this week. And again, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, over to Twitch we go. See you guys. Goodbye, everybody.